Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 31st episode of our Cultist Simulator detective run, trying to do, I guess it would be the Detective Legacy doing the Librarian run. Now, I do, first of all, everything sounds a little bit louder than I remember it. I'm sure I'm just not familiar, but I had a notepad specifically for this episode because Crocus Hill has the Book of the Centipede, along with some items, but I'm not as worried about that. Now, from our previous expeditions to Karashim, we've already gotten a copy of the Book of the Centipede. I'm actually torn as to whether or not I want to translate it from Greek or not. I think I'm going to avoid doing that this time. That may have some implications in terms of uniqueness, but I want to try and minimize the number of I want to minimize the variation along a few important points. But once I can, I'm going to basically try and go to Crocus Hill. The hope is that the reward from Crocus Hill is set, and so if I wind up with a copy of the Book of the Centipede after exploring Crocus Hill, then that gives me a strategy for the remaining expeditions, which will ultimately get me duplicates of certain texts. And if Crocus Hill does not give me the copy of the Book of the Centipede, the obvious move then, well, there's a couple of other things that I can test, but essentially if the idea is that you basically get each book once, then I need to sort of reimagine how I'm going to approach this this particular challenge and see if there's a different way that I can go about things. I do believe I am going to be able to advance. I know I'll at least be able to get past the stag door. Otherwise, I may need to reflect a little bit on what I can actually achieve. But we'll leave all of that aside. There are a few important things happening on the table as well, so we still have a Season of Visions as well as a Season of Despair. I am about to be tempted by the pages yet again, so I want to make sure that I employ my reason. We're currently pursuing an investigation into Rhaenyra, so that may generate another... that could potentially generate another dread. But the hope here is that having gone to the Ecdysis Club, I will, I'll get a contentment out of that. We're generating a vitality so that I can deal with the sickness when it emerges, and I'm healing from my previous sickness. So lots going on. We're also clearing out the notoriety, but we're going to move straight into destroying the evidence as well. But again, we'll deal with things one step at a time. A dancer enters from stage left, swathed in red bandages, tight as tendons. She peels one away. Another. 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 I am discipline. I am all discipline. I haven't lasted this long to give up so easily. Alright, this must be a trick. One cannot remove garments so softly that the bones beneath the pale skin are visible. Bone pink as peach flesh, organs nestled like grapes, the lights dim, gutter, go out, and the stage's red star with them. All our lips are dry. So unfortunately, no contentment from that performance. I'm going to wait the 30 seconds to get the Ecdysis Club to actually... While I do that, let's grab another Karashim just in case. So that'll run the full 60 seconds, but I don't like waiting. Okay, earnest speeches, affable conversation. The standards of daylight society cannot apply to us, but perhaps we won't emphasize that point. Perhaps we'll rely on charm and good humor. I've supplied elegant platitudes about the high principles of our organization. So, a Course of the Heart is nice. I've got my fresh air and exercise, so we get vitality a few times over now. I want to leave the study verb open for the next little bit, for reasons that will become apparent if it's not obvious. Okay, so we got Night Terrors. That's going to hit me before the Ecdysis Club, unfortunately, so that there was a cost there was a cost for waiting. It was a remote chance, but you know, we got hit by it, so. And we did clear out the notoriety. So first thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna take we can use Elizabeth or we can use Sylvia. Let's use Sylvia. So she'll destroy the damning evidence. I think I'm actually gonna wait a little while before we do anything with Rhaenyra. Okay, back to the Dices Club again. The best we can do is push back. Excuse me. The wreath, announces the Master of Ceremonies. A dancer undulates on the stage, unfolding her arms. Live moths spill in a stream from her mouth. So at least here we've got contentment. White moths eddy through the hall. They perch on the brims of wine glasses and sip. The audience applauds. The woman on stage moves as if she has too many limbs. Moths crowd my arms, nestle against my shoulder. In a little while, I'll step outside and look at the clear, cold stars. I assume I dreamt the whole thing. The smokes of the club are treacherous. So I do need to deal with the buzzing in the brain. In fact, in this case, I am going to investigate Rhaenyra again. I'm trying to think why I'm not using the dreams. Right, because of healing and also because I don't want to generate a fascination. And this time I'm actually going to use the Forgotten Chronicle, because it occurred to me that I may want to double up the Furtive Truths. Okay, so healing first. So the plan is we will visit the Ecdysis Club again. I'm probably going to wind up with some reputation because I'm going to paint the buzzing in the brain. But, you know, I'll deal with that when the time comes. And I realize that I'm holding off this trip to Crocus Hill, but I do want to deal with my mood before I tie up the Explorer. Right, my minion is returned. The evidence has been destroyed. I'm a little safer. And I think it's a little early for me to use Leo, but I do want him to kind of sponge up any of the reputation I'm about to generate. Oh, actually, we've got another contentment coming from... Well, you know what? It doesn't matter because we still need to paint away the restlessness. So, okay. I don't need to put a ton of effort into it, but... The sick food grows close and stale. Time to get up. And this place merits closer investigation, so that's Foreman House. So this case here, we'll actually get rid of the fascination relatively soon as well. So let's take care of the White Door. And let's get people ready... Sorry, Crocus Hill. The ancient tribes reserved this resting place for one who by the end in the service to a certain merciless hour was more scar than man. They sealed the entrance with binding songs and mortared blood. I actually don't remember what I need. Sealed the entrance, so let's go for... Well, we could go for knock. The one who came here before had us, the one who came here before us marked the door in the hillside, and here it may yet be, but it is sealed, besides, with stone and binding spell. No real reason to spend for the paints, but no real reason not to either. Expedition continues. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I could add funds now, or I could send another follower. So in this case, it's a warded door. I can add the funds if I really want, but in this case, it's really just a matter of making sure that Neville and Enid do the job. Magnificent work. I've created something distinctive and beautiful. It will very likely enhance my reputation. No, I should have been paying closer attention. Well, it wouldn't have mattered because I was still thinking, but... Ah, and I did wind up with a fascination. So that is a problem, particularly given what I may find on the other side here. Okay, so I may wind up with a long Rhaenyra. This is the time we need to invest in generating damning evidence. Okay, fortunately, they're not going for a location. In last night's stream, I was in the Lodge of the Sage Knight, behind the White Door. It is difficult to remember exactly how I came there, and the mistress of this place, the woman with the dark glasses, was nodding as if I had asked her a difficult question. Of course I hadn't. I lost my speech when I passed the White Door. How is it that I can speak, she said to me? I didn't come here through the White Door. I'm not proud of what I did to come here, so let me tell you about something else. I'm still going to risk the White Door again. Call upon the Horned Axe, who waits at the threshold. We bear a great power of opening, will almost certainly shatter this warded door. And the clouds part. The wolf despair prowls elsewhere. No dread empowers this despair. It's over for now. So one of these, the Fleeting Reminiscence will deal with the fascination, but I need to generate another Fleeting Reminiscence. No one understands us, or else they understand us too well. So we will use Leo again. They're still in hiding. What exactly are they up to? So I can't really afford to be making these kinds of mistakes. Okay. I don't have too much to worry about from the Season of Visions, but... Alright, progress. The constant clatter of closing doors, damp stains on the station walls, the smell of boot polish and unwashed constables. All this narrows to a single crystalline truth. I've made progress and earned myself some overtime pay. So what I'm going to do here, it's actually beneficial for me to have a, it would be beneficial to have Night Terrors at this point, because that'll help tranquilize the despair, or the fascination. Icy Atmosphere would guarantee that for me. I'm going to try Lodge of the Sage Knight, but I'm really worried that it may be a fascination. Okay, favorite priority. Last night I dreamt of a blue silk pavilion overlooking the cloudy labyrinth of the Bounds. I listened to the mistress of this place speak of other visitors. The Suppression Bureau come here. Did you know that? I think they hope to recruit me as an ally, she snorts derisively, after what they tried to do to Christopher. But their folly is your fortune. I will tell you something that may help you if the Bureau ever troubles you. Okay. All doors must open as all lives must end. This door has found its end here today. So we'll pick up the Mystique before we pick up the Notoriety, which I'm not crazy about, but it's a start. She is now up to 7. My rival strives to pass the tricuspid gate and become something greater. They're still in hiding. What exactly are they up to? Almost always this will end inconclusively, but occasionally a rival will manage to increase their power in secret. Consider tempting them out of hiding by leaving an expedition open. So, we know what we need to do. I mean, I could continue to try and spin, I could try to continue to spin Rhaenyra into the, into the Season of Ambitions, but we've already seen we've already seen, you know, how easy that is to miss. Yeah, so in this case here, if I do that wrong, I lose. So, I am going to... This actually could get dicey. Okay, I'm actually gonna give myself a little bit of certainty here. So in this case, I'm actually going to wait. And this is because I want to tie up Rhaenyra first. Then I want to pursue the investigation when I'm not rushed by... I want to pursue the investigation when I'm not rushed by the Season of Ambitions. The worry that I have here is that Rhaenyra will be picked up by the Season of Ambitions and be able to win before I'm able to finish the investigation. So, and in this case here, I'm letting the restlessness turn into dread. So, some dead are lost in the wood, some rise higher, but many, so many, pass the white door into the house and become silent forever. Last night they thronged the entrance. Our mouths were healed wounds, their eyes roamed my skin. Their hands sought my warmth, but my touch burnt, and they drew back. Their urgency infected me. So of course this also leaves me short of Grail followers, but okay. I'm noticing a distinct lack of pink. It is almost possible to stand upright in this place, but the air is foul and our lamps burn low. Here is the warrior king staked out on the funeral stone, his bones smashed to keep him from walking. The orbits of his skull are bound with bronze. Okay, so another bronze spintra, piebald pigment, meteoric bullet, an icy atmosphere which will generate some dread, bone flute, radon oil, and a notoriety. Okay, so they've definitely changed the way that Expedition works, but it does mean that I shouldn't be putting the kind of effort that I'm putting into Karashim. So, there is one more thing that I want to try. I'm going to need a minute to get another note I made. I think it was Lockwood Fen? No. Kiglin's Scratch was the one I was looking for, which has the Victory of Crowns, and that one's notable because I believe that... Actually, hang on. I think the Victory of Crowns may have just started as... you know what? Let me just take a quick... I think the wiki might have an answer for this. Seems to indicate that it is an English text. Okay, so the expectation here would be if we go to Gladwin Lake, we will... Not Gladwin, Kiglin's Scratch. I expect that what we will find is that we can't get the Victory of Crowns. Others have been here before us. A power still lingers, and no doubt they used it in their ceremonies. They have taken some of the warrior king's funeral treasures, but left something of their own. Okay, so I guess the good news is I don't need to worry about Karashim as much anymore. The bad news is it's going to be really hard for me to get... it's going to be really hard for me to get the lore. I think we're just going to plow ahead with Kiglin's Scratch. Here the Romans dug for silver until they reached the unsanctioned place where the names hid things not fit for sunlight. Many others have come since then, even as the tunnels crumble. Some have never left. So for the tunnels, I wonder if we're going to run into a snake. We prepare for the descent. We bring rope, tools, light. We arm ourselves against anything down there but that may yet move. Let's do one of each. So one Slee, one Neville. Alright, and let's hold off on... again, I need to keep disciplined in terms of making sure we catch Rhaenyra before she ascends. Although it would be fun to get the achievement where someone ascends before me. Okay, so Lantern will help us, but we're... Actually, I should probably fill the appropriate slots. Okay, I think we're safe to pursue Rhaenyra at this point. Okay, so this dread becomes a liability now, or the winter becomes a liability rather. And now I may be able to deal with it? Yes. No, because it's going to turn into dread while I have it active. Alright, last night in the billowing blue of the Lodge of the Sage Knight, I sat on velvet cushions and watched two dead contend with shining swords. They came with the place, said the woman who rules here now, the one who once called herself Gallagher. I was not the Sage Knight, if that's what you're wondering. He went higher in the Mansus, long before I came here. My attention has drifted. The swords sparkle like falling water. The dead move like dancers. Okay. So I think I'm actually going to have to sit down and make some notes of the different locations moving forward. I'm probably just going to abandon Karashim at this point, but... we call upon the watchman who illuminates. The watchman will lend virtue to our lamps, and that will show us the perils to avoid, probably. The watchman will clear our sight so that we can almost certainly pass without error. Discipline, I am all discipline. I haven't lasted this long to give up so easily. Okay, if I want to avoid the dread, I can use this in an induction ceremony, but I'm feeling brave. Alright, my investigations turned up no new leads. Now we spring the trap. So this will arrest Rhaenyra, and we don't have the threat of losing to her Ascension. We're much battered in Thorn Scratch, but we've made it through. Okay, let's add Eau Claire for the winter. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm saying if that means anything. No fascination drives your visions. It's over for now. And the temptation is past for now. And Season of Suspicion, so the notoriety probably is going to get picked up. Or we'll generate a new one. But I can live with that. Like I'll compared to some of the other stuff that I've had to deal with over the last couple of turns, yeah. I figure a little dread and an investigation is pretty minor. So this one's interesting. Yeah, I think we already covered that I'm not going to be able to bring Enid up with that. So, and we're actually probably not going to be able to summon anything. So, last night in the great pavilion above the grey sprawl of the Bounds, a woman who once called herself Teresa Galmer sat on gilt-fringed cushions and offered me a horn cup of dream wine. The wine is imaginary, she explained, but the cup is not. To navigate the Mansus, one must understand the distinction. Perhaps one day you'll join me on the pilgrimage, or I'll join you. So here, let us share a secret. And her breath tickled my ear. Okay. Always feels like such a shame to let a subtle fracture go by, but solving the case, I've turned over my evidence to the Assistant Director General of the Suppression Bureau. At this moment, I can assume hard-faced men in plain clothing are pounding on the door of my quarry. I may want to destroy evidence before I get rid of reputation, but we'll see. The dead draw back, their almost faces flat and watchful. They will not trouble us. Sorry, I should have read the text for that. So it's a little less important for me to go through the white door at this point, but you know, I'll make do. Another miscreant? Will it ever end? Can we ever call the law, the city, the world safe? The Suppression Bureau holds their trials in closed court, and they are not merciful. My quarry disappears from the world. I have earned a promotion. So I'm just gonna take it easy for a little while. Let's see what the world brings up. Now, unfortunately, we're probably gonna have some evidence against us right around the time I get that second notoriety. Once a lady, the air is stale. The dust sifts worryingly down the rock above, but the dead lie still. This chamber, with its chalked figures and ancient stains, looks promising. I'm still gonna go for the reputation, but I think it will be a bit of a waste. In a lead-lined sarcophagus lies the skeleton of a woman. She wasn't buried here. It looks like she crawled in to die. Something has happened to the shape of her skull, pushing out the jaw like the muzzle of a beast. Scrapes of rotting linen swathe her bones. Treasures lie among the remains of her clutching hands between her ribs. Okay, so we have a cracked Wildering mirror. We get our funds back, but notably the Victory of Crowns is not to be seen. So yeah, the best I can hope for. So we've definitely seen that there are, you can get a book more than once, but it's very rare. And so what I need to do now, where I previously thought that I might be able to get multiple books from, from just ordinary expeditions, it's clear that that has changed, and that's actually probably something that has been changed for a while, and I'm just thinking of an old version of the game, which is fine because this is still something I'd like to try and do, but it does mean that my ability to get summons, my ability to do a number of things is limited. So I do know that I'm going to be able to get past the Stag Doors riddle. And I would be interested in seeing how far that I can, how far I can go. But it is going to involve another revision in terms of the strategy. So right now I can get I can get locations from, sorry, I can basically I can get everything up to the continent in terms of locations. I can get the contents. It probably doesn't make a lot of sense for me to go to Karashim a few times over. There is one thing I'm interested in seeing with this book in particular. But at the moment, it's looking like it would be better for me to just do the named locations so I don't need to deal with the repeatable sites. But one of the things that I am going to need to do is I'm actually going to need to map out the contents of each of the locations, because if I don't do that, any times that I may find like duplicate texts, those are going to run by without me noticing. So I have a little bit of homework to do before the next few episodes. I do need to finish tomorrow's still, so I'm going to try and have that done in a timely fashion. But I am definitely going to need... I think what I'll do is I'll probably just go region by region. Again, all of this is exciting. You know what? It's not that hard to show you. For those of you that are interested, if you ever want to know what Cultist Simulator looks like in the background... Oh, this is harder than I thought. I should just be able to add a screen capture. There we go. Yeah, so here would be an example. So this is, you've got your directory that's holding Cultist Simulator. This is Visual Studio Code. You absolutely do not need to use something fancy for that, but chances are, if you know what JSON is, you probably know what, or JSON, I don't know what the correct pronunciation is. Chances are, if you know what this is, you're familiar with Visual Studio Code. Now, I've actually tried to open this in Python before, and there's something about the formatting that makes the default reading not quite work. And I remember a community member, Lyraziter, actually made a nice little translation tool for that. I believe this has changed a few... well, no, I know this has changed a few times. But one way or another, this is just a particular way of structuring a... structuring Cultist Simulator. Personally, I would not be surprised. I believe Alexis Kennedy does actually have a background in doing some sort of database work for companies before he started making video games. And so it doesn't entirely... like, when you just kind of look at this stuff, you can really see how you could put these in a bunch of tables inside of a relational database and just make this all work together. But like I said, this stuff has definitely changed over time. But what you can notice is that if we've got a Vault Rewards A, and it's got a label Capital Rewards, right? So these would be the first set of rewards from an expedition in the capital, and you have the following texts that are found inside here. So Wainscot History, Textbook Machine, Traveling at Night 3, Locksmith Dream 4, Treaties on Underplaces, Lantern Ingredient B, Tool Winter D, Lantern Cracked, so on and so forth. And what caught my attention was this idea of reset on exhaustion. So if you're wondering why I kept trying the Forsaken Reach over and over again, it's because I said, okay, so if it resets, maybe we just need to get the text in. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't happen. Perhaps it's detecting, I'm noticing that I don't have more than one Elegabline manacle, and I'm noticing that I'm not getting things like the Rose of Hypatia over and over again. Perhaps it's the fact that it's the Greek text. So this is why I went and I translated a bunch of books. But in this case here, we found the save file, which is actually giving a list of all of the texts that I've been exposed to. And with that, I can now see, okay, so there's other information that's now being held about my specific playthrough that's keeping track of books that I've been exposed to. And so the new goal that I would have for, for this librarian run, like the way to really make this work is to try and take advantage of so I want to take advantage of multiple copies of books, but because the game seems to be structured now to prevent me from getting multiple copies of books, I want to see where the gaps lie in the way that works. Because obviously I was able to get 2 copies of De Bellis Murorum. I'm pretty sure it was De Bellis Murorum. Maybe it was Victory of Crowns. Anyways, that's why I have that edge lore. And of course that edge is going to allow me to do things that I wouldn't normally be able to do. And so the plan here basically is to see what kind of opportunity I can take in terms of the way that the game looks at recording my texts, and what opportunities wait for me inside of the vaults. And is there a specific way for me to go through the vaults or to read particular texts to make sure that I'm able to get the most out of the different different expeditions. But obviously, when it just comes to rewards, so this would be what you get from the end of the expedition. Like that alone is, almost 300 lines. You can ignore most of them. But obviously I want to be comparing that with the rewards that I get from each of the individual locations. And then of course I want to be comparing that with what I already have inside of my deck. So there's a little bit of work that I need to do, on my own account. And then of course the fact that I'm sure if I sit down with a Python session, I'd be able to translate this to work with whatever parser I have. But there's always the question as to whether or not that's worth it. But anyways, I do, where I can, I try not to look too carefully inside of this. I will actually mention, so this is different from what it was before, but the Bird and Worm slider actually had it probably still does, but there was something related to the Bird and Worm slider. There was, and again, the things in here have changed. I think the first little message that I found isn't in the game. I'm pretty sure it was Humors of a Gentleman that had like a little message, which I don't think is in here anymore. But in any case, there's little secrets every once in a while. So, I'm reluctant to look at it, but obviously I've looked before. And this is just a chance for me to get something a little colder, but more definitive in terms of how the game works. So this is going to be how I spend my evening, because this is how dedicated I am to your entertainment. But until next time, thank you very much for watching, and when I see you next, I will be more informed. Also, happy Sir Arthur Conan Doyle birthday. Take care.